All right, everyone, here we are with ticker symbol BNGO, Bionano Genomics Inc. And before we jump into this chart, I want to say welcome to all the first-time viewers and investors. Welcome to the channel, Invest for Tomorrow. To all the subscribers, welcome back, and let's jump into this chart. So I wanted to go ahead and pull up here the MACD because the MACD yesterday was showing signs pretty early, right? As you see it, and there were some interesting things because it was kind of hard to read. That's why I didn't pull it up in yesterday's video, due to the fact that it was pretty confusing due to some key factors here. So every time it kept going up, right, you could see that dark green was starting to form, and then the light green would appear and it would kind of level off. If you look up and you look down, you could see that it would kind of level off. Then the dark green came and it continued to pull, but then here and these two light greens, it didn't level off. It continued to pull up. Then dark green pull up. Then these two right here, but continue to pull up. And then all of a sudden dark green appeared and it kept pushing. This is where it was getting interesting and we needed to watch it carefully. And I had stated yesterday too in the video how this shot up so high that we were going to anticipate some type of pullback. And if not, it could break through resistance and reach newer highs. And if it did break through resistance and it didn't hold it up, it could start to fall. Because profit taking was inevitable, right? I think that's how you pronounce it. Or let's just say unavoidable, right? That is something that couldn't be avoided due to the fact of how much of a run this has had and how smooth it's been. There was going to get some bumpiness at some point. So when you think about that, it's pretty interesting, and excuse me for that popped up. That's the S&P 500 index. But when you think about that and you see that, it was going to get a slight pullback due to profit taking. So right now, the signs on this stock not being a good stock, how people start to think and start to feel, is not yet something to say, because this is holding up from way down at 88.70 cents all the way up to $4 right now. So anyone that got in after $4 obviously is going to say, you know, this is like every other stock. And I understand that. I completely understand that feeling. It's happened to me before, but it's all about timing. But in yesterday's video, I did briefly touch base with the fact that resistance needed to be broken. If that did not get broken, we were going to start to see a slight pullback. And if it broke through support, we were going to see newer lows. And here we are. So I pulled up the MACD because I wanted us to see it, and I want us to see what the MACD is showing us moving forward. Now, just because the MACD shows it doesn't mean that that's guaranteed, right? You have to use all the indicators, and usually the indicators all combined tell you a message. But it's not always that way, because then there's investors that come in and can try to distort that message. But right now, the message is clear, pretty clear. But there's no such thing as a 100% message from indicators. So since this was pretty confusing, starting at this point from yesterday, as these green bars were going downwards, they were actually doing their regular behavior. When this starts to go down, right, there's less and less potential for this to continue to go up. And this is the funny part. It was going downwards while the stock is going upwards. So as you see this, this is where the anticipation really becomes a reality that you need to be prepared the next day. Is this going to go back up to green bars, dark green bars, and continue momentum, break through resistance, or will the red bars start to appear? Once these appear, basically from this point to the beginning of the fall and then starting in that downward direction, this was already starting to fall. But the fact that volume was coming in doesn't let you see, right, what the MACD is showing you. This is why the MACD is pretty powerful, in my opinion. It shows you what's going on that you can't see just yet because the chart isn't allowing it to reflect it, because there's, you know, purchases coming in. But things were starting to level off here in the MACD and slightly start to pull down, right before this even. And if you look at it, this looks like it's going straight up, but it was already telling you this is about to come. So then once it started going red, you can see the pullback. Now what I want us to see is that the bulls tried to reappear and bring this back up, and it was leading back to that midway point where there could have been a slight right? Back upward trend. And right now, the bulls need to break through this midway point. So this is the midway point right now. And if the bulls reappear, and excuse my drawing, this would be dark green bars moving its way up, right? Like we see here. Now, this blue line and the orange line need to come up in this direction and break through this midway point. As they do that, this stock will actually start to bring itself back up, possibly break through the 50-day moving average, break through resistance, and work its way up to newer highs. But if these dark red bars continue that we're seeing right here at this point, and they continue to get larger, like we see here, this is actually going to get pulled further down away from that midway point, and that means that we may see newer lows. And that's something we need to pay close attention to. And not only newer lows, it'll probably actually kind of like level off. And if it continues to pull itself down, then we'll see the newer lows, because sometimes what the MACD is showing doesn't reflect right away. Sometimes it does, like we see here, right away. Once it started to go in that downward direction and darker red bars, this started to fall pretty fast. But this was already going into that downward direction, hitting the midway point, about to switch from light green to dark red, and it wasn't showing those signs. It just kept moving upwards. So that's why learning how to interpret the MACD is very important, but using the MACD is a pretty powerful indicator, like I like to call it. It's pretty powerful. And it lets you see more beyond the chart. So together with the MACD and what I'm about to share with you guys will be well equipped for tomorrow's trading day, or should be, unless something changes dramatically and someone buys a huge order and it just distorts the whole entire thing. But one thing I am here to say is that we need to watch this carefully. Just because the MACD is showing signs that this is going to hit newer lows does not mean that it will. It doesn't guarantee that, but the indicators are there and they usually speak for themselves, right? And the chart speaks for themselves. But I wanted every single investor yesterday to be aware this is such a long shot up that we were going to see some profit taking. Now, what's most important here is for this to not continue to fall dramatically like it did here. This is a $3 drop. Like, if it drops another $1 or $2, that's not a good sign. That is showing the sentiment of investors, and there's some things that we need to watch carefully. So I'm going to talk about this as narrowed in as possible, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit zoomed out so that you guys have every single point you need for tomorrow's trading day. So currently, it's at 482, give or take 476, according to this 30-minute time frame. The 50-day moving average is 543. I'd write that down. Super important number. As long as we're below it, we're in bearish territory. The moment we're above it, we're in bullish territory. If this support gets broken through, we need to watch this carefully, and that's 428. And if the MACD continues those dark red bars and pulling down the orange and blue line, we will start to see this reflect the same movement going on in the MACD here in our candlesticks in the downward direction. So we need to watch it carefully. So 428, if it gets broken through, watch this very closely. And your next support level, if 428 gets crossed, which is 390, is very important, because if that gets broken through, we will see this go deeper into bearish territory, hitting newer lows and new support levels. And you're going to want to watch how it's reacting between 428 and 390, and if the bulls are trying to reappear. If that does not happen and the bulls don't fight back, and those red bars on the MACD get darker and darker and they keep getting larger, and this continues to pull down, this can possibly break through 428 and 390, and we need to watch it very, very carefully. Now, on the other spectrum of things, we have the 50-day moving average. 543 definitely needs to be broken through, but the resistance level 570 is much more important. Getting into bullish territory is one thing, and getting into bullish territory and pulling deeper into it to stay in it is another thing, and that's breaking through 570. Very important for the bulls to accomplish breaking through 570, turning it into a support, and pulling away from the 50-day moving average in an upward direction to newer resistance levels and newer highs to get deeper into bullish territory. As always, I hope that with these cues, you guys are well equipped for tomorrow's trading day. Don't forget to click on the bell to turn on all notifications and not miss a single video that I post. Share this with your friends and community. And don't forget to hit the like button to let me know you watch this video. And don't forget, guys, I mentioned it in my last video. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to watch it, but I have made a Twitter. Check it out. The link will be down below. I'm not going to be very active in it right now, but I will be sooner or later, and I will be talking about what's on my watch list, what I'm watching for that day or that week, and also further discuss information about stocks there with you guys in the comments down below. And you guys are more than welcome to retweet them and share them with others and your friends and community. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let's make some money.